I just spent about 30 minutes prompting from the new Claude Design to get a mock-up of an iOS app that I really didn't have any idea before I sat down to make this what I wanted it to look like. And you'll see me kind of stumble through, because I'm not a designer, how to describe the thing that is in my head that I wanted it to create. But in 30 minutes, it got a working prototype. I tweaked it up a little bit. I exported it and put it directly into Claude Code on the desktop app from Claude. And it built out an actual iOS app project using SwiftUI. It's got a README. It's got the directions on exactly how to put it into Xcode and actually build this thing for real, which I will post a follow-up video, and I'll link it somewhere on YouTube that you can see easily on this video once I've got that one made and actually made the tweaks to get this thing up and running. But the point is, I went from nothing to something pretty substantial in 30 minutes. And yes, like every other video on AI these days, that's just the world we're living in. This is the next step in design, though. I've been really impressed with my first day with Claude Design, and I'm looking forward to using it more. The only downside, as we'll talk about and I'll show you, is the usage. So we've got a separate usage bar for how many tokens it's going to use. It's a weekly limit, and it's exclusive to the design feature. And I used like 21 or 26% just in those 30 minutes. So I have a weekly allowance. So kind of comical. You know, Claude, they're the laughing stock in terms of usage. People are really upset about how quickly they fly through it. That's not changing anytime soon. This is not a video about usage primarily, though. I've done other videos on that. It's just comical to me. But this stuff is really good, and I think it's worth it to pay if you need to use these tools for this type of stuff. So I hope you enjoy this and learn something from watching me go through my first day with Claude Design. This is what happens when you go to claude.ai/design. And if you're just in the regular chat, let's back up a page. Not that chat, the Claude chat. So if you're over here, the sidebar, you're going to have this design section right here, which is underneath the chats, projects, artifacts, and code. But then it will pop up this. So this is still in research preview, which means it's maybe not going to be perfect, but from what I've seen, it's pretty good. So we've got several different things. The whole interface, obviously, this is different than what we're used to seeing. We got prototype, slide deck, from template, and other. So I think what we're going to do is do a high fidelity prototype for P&P app. This is a progress and perfection, one of my side projects. I'm going to be making an app, maybe two for it, and I really just haven't gotten around to designing or setting up anything. So let's go ahead and press play on this and see what we can do. So we're presented with this entirely new screen to me as well. We've got chat over here on the left, design systems, screenshots, code base, drag in a Figma file. If you already are a designer, you can bring in your Figma stuff over here. I guess I could zoom in for you. This is the stuff I'm talking about. What we're going to do, though, you can even start with a sketch. And if you have like one of those drawy pad things, you can sketch stuff out here, or you can draw shapes and have it do stuff just over here and like sketch out something in your head down onto paper here. This is pretty cool. I mean, it's a lot of things all built into one. It's like an Excalidraw type of deal right over here, cross between that and Figma maybe. I'm not going to do that, though. What I'm going to do, because I can't sketch anything to save my life. Oh, and look, we got folders. I guess this was that napkin sketch thing. So yeah, we got a whole like folder system that it's building for us whenever we do stuff in here. It says down here at the bottom, you can drop files here, images, docs, references, Figma links. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to go over here to the website where this other project lives. And what I'm going to do is just give it some colors and some basic ideas and describe down here what I want to create. But what I'm going to do is grab a screenshot of this. This is pretty bland. It's just a basic Beehive page that I've got over there. So I'm going to paste in this. I want to create an iOS app for progress and perfection, a side project of mine. You can see the screenshot for the main page. It's just a generic Beehive page right now. I would like to create a very modern looking, minimalistic app, and here's the functionality that I want for it. It will load in a set of memory verses from scripture. The screen should be very aesthetically pleasing with a nice font to be used. Basically, the whole screen, as you're using it, should be the scripture verse. As you tap it, words will disappear. It's a scripture memory tool is what we're doing here. Give me a mock-up of the main screen, verse selection screen. I'll have a few different buckets of verses, so there needs to be some sort of a foldering type of system in there, but it needs to look really, really sharp. I want grainy, textured, and use this red-ish hue with a couple other colors for a palette of your making. Tell me what else you need from me. All right, so I've given it what I believe is kind of bare essentials. I'm not a designer. I'm not really even speaking the design language here. And I've basically asked it at the end to tell me what else it needs from me. You can see over here in the middle, we've got this design files space. And so it's got, oh, now it's going to questions. Oh, cool. Which Bible translation should I use? ESV. Any specific verses you want in the demo? Well, yes, there is. This is an app that I had made on my own. Let's just go ahead and use these verses, the ones that we're using so far. Use the ones in this screenshot to start. These buckets, I'd like to be able to add more as the year goes by. I don't know why I'm typing right now. How should you tap to hide mechanic work? Tap anywhere, random word disappears. Hides from end of first letter only. Ooh. Tap anywhere and more than one random word disappears. I want like maybe 5 random words throughout to disappear at once every time that's tapped. Do you want progress streak tracking visible? Minimal, yes. What, baby? Yeah, I got your night-night. You want me to bring it up? I'll be right there. I'll be back. That's right. We're building during nap time. All right. Describe personality for the scripture. Modern narrative. Ooh. Let's do that. How grainy? Yeah, I don't want to go too grainy. 60. Dark ink on cream plus deep night mode. Sounds good. Which screen should I mock? Yeah, it can decide for me. How much variation? And I like this because I'm not a designer. So the more that it can do some choices for me, and then we can go from there once it starts building, the better. How much variation do you want to see? What do you think? Strong direction polished or 2 to 3 side by side? Tweaks. Let's go with this tweaks because there's a pretty cool little deal where you can tweak stuff as we get along here that I've seen people do, so I'm going to go with that one. Supporting palette vibe. Warm and earthy, muted and monastic, dusty and modern. Let me pick via tweaks. Oh, I'm thinking warm and earthy. Yep. The ampersand from your site. Use it as the app mark. Yes. Let's go subtle. Show it in an iPhone frame. Yes. We got text down here. This is kind of like a game when it's loading. Tip. Comments and text edits appear as chips in the composer. Remove any you don't want. Very good. Over here on the left, we've got stuff that's building. So check this out. It's developed, and this is very much similar to Claude Code, where once you tell it to do stuff and you decide on a direction and sort of the outline for what it's going to work on, then it sets up its own little tests or its own little bullet points for markers, and then it goes through them one by one and starts doing them. This is nice. All right, so naming the project, grabbing the iOS frame, copying starter. Now the verse data file. Right on. So I feel like this is going to be costly. Let's pull up a new window and see how much of our plan this is using. Capabilities, usage, Claude Design. All right, so check it out. We've got a whole new usage limit. Claude Design resets Saturday at 1 p.m. and it's Saturday. It is Saturday at 1 p.m. So I guess that's a weekly usage. Research preview with its own weekly limit. Usage here doesn't count toward your other limits. Okay, so that's interesting in research preview at least. This is not going to count towards our other limits. Let's refresh this. We're at 2%, and look at that. Don't you love seeing 0% on these other spots? Okay, so I'll keep that open in another window so we can come back and check when we start really building. just how costly it's going to be or how much of our usage it's going to take. We've got components that it's bringing in. It's got these JSX files, so it's already building some stuff. So it's created scraps, folders, and components. And then look at this. We can hand it off to Claude Code to create a developer-ready package with specs and structure. Download it, then tell Claude Code to create this design. That's what I'm really looking forward to, because I have never built an app for iOS. And honestly, I've never done anything in Xcode. So I believe we can get a pretty long way just using Claude Code, particularly now that we've got it building up a sketch file for us. We'll come back when it's finished building. We've got progress. Look at this. Now, right out of the bat, I think I'm going to have it remove that graininess. I don't really like what's going on in the background, but otherwise, this is really cool. All right, so what just happened, it went from 0 out of 9 to 9 out of 9, like almost instantaneously. So right when it popped open this HTML page is when I guess it checked off everything that it had been doing in the background over here. Anyway, we have these design files, and what I did just a second ago is I clicked this HTML page, and you can actually click open, and then it's like you've got your own browser right here, right? These are like windows in a browser that it's just created to go through all this stuff. Over here, I guess I'm in the way. Let me move my face out of the way so you can see this stuff. Here are the tweaks that I was talking about. And I think I should be able to do this, yeah, in real time. So if I go monastic, dusty, kind of changes that palette. See that changing in the background? If we go night mode, I really like that a lot more. These are not really changing a whole lot. Cream, night, literary, newsreader. Yeah, I like all those. I think I like that newsreader the best. Tap mechanic from end, random fade, first letter, blanks. Oh, check it out. Okay, so there's the mechanic that I was talking about. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Boom. All right. Cool, cool. All three screens, just the memorize screen. Oh, this is pretty cool. So foundation. I don't know why there's a line through these verses. That's interesting. Now, I wonder if I want the mechanic to work the opposite way. And that's just yeah, I might want it to start with nothing on the screen. All right, this is really good, though. Out of the gate, I like how it's looking. Memorize, tap anywhere, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I want it to be reversed. So I want, this is a really great start. Now I want you to change a few things. So the main screen where I am choosing from the verses, all I want listed are the references for the verse. You can keep the date and you can keep the one-word description that I've got in there. Thank you for putting those in there. I don't want a preview of the verse in the selector. You can also take out all those strike-through text. That was just from my Google Doc where I had been keeping track of which ones I'd put in my other website. The tab mechanic works great, but I want you to do two things. Start with nothing listed. And when I tap, add back in random words rather than taking them out. You can add a toggle between how this behaves also. So starting blank versus starting with the full verse. But default should be start blank. And lastly, for the verse screen, I would love for the verse to take up more of the screen. You can take some liberties with how the font is displayed. It looks beautiful like it is. I just want it to be a little bit more cozy feeling and large, like some of these Instagram type displays of text. They should just take up a lot of the screen and don't reduce the size unless it's a long verse where you really have to reduce the size to keep it all in view. I don't know. We'll see what it does with that. I'm going to send this off, and then we're going to look more at all of the different versions. So tweaks, you can see this little tweaks toggle. I'm toggling back and forth. That was the screen we had open. It's this tweak screen, and I guess it comes on by default where you can tweak the different things. Words, tab. Oh, I didn't even see. Look at this. They even have how many words disappear. So that's a cool touch. So if we just wanted 3 words to disappear, that's cool. Now over here, it is again reading what I gave it and updating files. Let's go over to our usage and see how much we're using. Yeah, we're going to be 11% used of the weekly usage limit already. It's going to be going pretty quick. I'm not sure how usage is going to be handled. Usage here doesn't count towards your other limits. So let's go over here and look at usage. Claude Design, subscription usage, and pricing. Pro, quick explorations, one-off use. Max 5, semi-regular use. PMs and engineers producing regular mockups. And max 20, power use designers and creatives. Each provision user gets a recurring weekly allowance that resets every 7 days. We got standard and premium seats. Enterprise plans, doesn't apply to us. How long will allowances last? Weekly allowances are ongoing. They're not a one-time promotion. They are, however, beta period rate limits subject to change. Great. The enterprise consumption is the exception. It's a one-time credit that expires on July 17th. Okay, so if you're enterprise and you're using this, you are on a one-time consumption credit. It's expiring in a couple months. How are these distributed? Every allowance granted per user, not pooled at the organizational level. How is usage tracked? Anthropic Labs release that doesn't support audit logs or usage tracking. Okay, so it's metered separate from everything else. All right, so we can add extra usage. Manage extra usage for design. So I guess the extra usage that we can buy down here can be used for Claude Design. That's how I'm reading this. If I'm reading that wrong, let me know in the comments below. I just know, I don't feel like I'm a power user, but I'm powering through 16% of a weekly allowance in about 16 minutes right now. Let's go back and see what it's done with these edits. And hopefully we'll be able to leave it here and then take it down to Claude Code for the actual app in just a second. All right. It's still working, or is it done? Looks like it's done. All right. And it does look like what I wanted it to. Sweet. So tap to reveal. Yeah, that's what I wanted. And look, that the text is bigger. I like it that way a little bit better now. Let's go back to this screen. And I like the preview here. Did y'all see this a second ago? So if you've got the tweaks up, we've got layout on all 3 screens versus just the memorize screen. So it lets you kind of do anything in any of these screens going back and forth, but you can eyeball what's going on in the other screens at the same time versus just one screen like you would be using it just as an app. The main page. So yeah, I like how it's done this. All right, tap to reveal. Where are we? Psalm 37, 30 through 31. The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice. The law of his God is in his heart, and his steps do not slip. Let's see if we got it. Tap to reveal. Reveal them all. The law of his God is in his heart. His steps do not slip. All right. I don't see the toggle to actually do what I wanted it to, though. If I wanted to start by showing the verse, answer in chat. I don't see a way for it to toggle between the default, which is what I like, which is what you have here, where it doesn't display any of the words of the verse, versus displaying all the words and then taking words away. Let's see if it can just answer that in chat. Let's update this. 21% usage. The toggle exists, but it's hidden. You need to open the tweaks panel, toggle it. Oh, okay. No, it's not in the tweaks panel, actually. So if we want some fine tuning, we can actually edit, draw, present, export, share, comment, all this stuff up here. If we edit, we can change background color, the font. Oh, this is cool. The base size as 16. Let's just pump that up to 18. If I want to draw something on here, I'm not going to do that because like I said, I'm not a designer, but we could draw things and add notes down here on the bottom where we could tell it to do stuff based on what we've drawn. And then present, oh, we could do a full screen. Oh, this is very cool. Full screen presentation where you get those tweaks down there in this tab, new tab, tweaks. It's pretty sweet. Share, we can share that with teammates, copy a link, duplicate project as a template. And then here's what we really want to do. We want to hand this off to Claude Code. Send a local coding agent. Give the agent more detail on what to implement. This is going to be a iOS app. I want the bare minimum to get this thing up and running without a lot of fooling around with databases and stuff like that on my end. All right, so I'm going to copy that command, and then we're just going to open up the Claude Cowork. Here we go. And up here, they've changed this as of this week. We've got Cowork right here, Chat right here, and then Claude Code right here. So I'm going to click Claude Code. I know this is small for you guys watching. Let's see if I can crank up the display settings for you. So it's a little bit easier to see. How about this? All right. And I think all I've got to do is drop this. Yeah, all I got to do is drop this into chat here. I feel like I should create like a project for this. Add another folder. Whoops. Let's go Claude. Let's open this up and let's say PNP iOS. Okay, we're adding this folder. Here's where we're going. I'm just pasting in what it told me to. We're going to use Opus 4.7. Look at that. We got extra high. Nice. So check this out. This was a new release yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago now. We've got the amount of effort that it's going to use. So we've got toggles for how much tokens are going to be used all over the place. Here's yet another one. This extra usage, or this extra high usage, is now the default for Claude Code, and it is a new default area. It used to go from low, medium, high to max. Now we've got this extra high mode in here. I'm going to just leave it on, okay? All right, babe, you can start. Let's see what happens. And importantly, let's go back to our usage. How much of our usage is going to get used now? So Claude Design, we're at 21%. And now current session right here with the Claude Cowork, we're going to start using this usage pretty quickly probably. I mean, we'll see. It's been manageable somewhat. So now it's fetching that. I'm going to say always allow down here. If you ever get hung up in Claude Cowork or code, it could be because there's a prompt where it's asking for permissions before it can go on. You've got to tell it, yes, I give you permission to do whatever it is you're saying that you need to do. Here's another one, allow Claude to run extract design archive. So basically, if you speak some computer, you know that all this is doing is making a directory. It's going into the directory, and then it's creating some files. Yeah, we're all good. In general, if you're doing basic stuff like this, probably not going to be in danger of allowing too much. If there was a way I could just say, and I am saying always allow, I don't know why it keeps asking me on these things. I would rather just say, do whatever you need to, and I'm good with it. But I guess we're going to have to sit here and keep clicking always allow for a little bit longer. All right, so I do like how it's keeping track of my tokens. 566 used already. Back over here, let's refresh. We're going to go from 3% to 3%. Great. Let's keep that usage down low. And then we'll come back here in a second and see what it came up with in Claude Code. Now, keep in mind, we are going to have to, if we make this a legit iOS app, we will eventually have to use Xcode, I think. I don't think we can just make it here and then upload it to the App Store. But I could be wrong about that. If you know more than I do, let me know in the comments below if that's true or not quite true. I would love not to have to go over into Xcode and do stuff in there as well. I just think that that's how the Apple ecosystem works. I don't know. This is a whole new experience for me. So I'm looking forward to being able to navigate my way with my buddy Claude's help through to my first app. All right. And just now it says, hey, I'll build a native SwiftUI iOS app with all the data bundled locally, no database. Oh, this is great. And mastery state persisted via user defaults. Yes, please. Starting with the models. We'll be back in a minute when it does all that. All right, we're still cooking. A few minutes later, and we got another one of these allow things. Let me clean up the design extract, verify the tree, done, built an app, no database, verse data bundled in Swift Mastery. What's in it? All right. 3 screens from the design, palette, grainy overlay, humanist serif, warm creamy paper, auto dark mode. To run, open Xcode, new iOS app, delete the stub file, drag that in, full steps in the README. All right, so in about 30 minutes, less than that, we went from a simple idea from somebody that's not a designer who basically mumbled his way through and stumbled his way through a design for it to sketch out in the new Claude Design mode, all the way down to handing it off to Claude Code here, which is inside Claude Cowork, which is inside the Claude Desktop App. And now we have an actual iOS app built that we are going to have to go and load into Xcode, and I'll have to do that, not right now because this is on my desktop, not on my Mac, to actually preview, but we went from nothing to an app in 30 minutes. This is pretty sweet if it actually works. And it worked, the preview version of what it built in the design file. It did work. So let me go pull up the files and see what's actually in there. PNP iOS. Okay, so here's the directory. We got the README file, and here it is. So it goes through all the stuff that's inside of it. All source lives in this directory, no database. Verse data is built in Swift. Mastery state and data, state and settings are persisted via user defaults. Sounds good to me. This is going to be a learning process to me because, like I said, I've never done anything in Swift, in Xcode, nothing. I've downloaded it a few times with the intention of learning how to build apps and never actually done so. Let me know what you think below. I got a free newsletter down below as well. And on the next video, I'll link it up here when it's done. I'll show you in Xcode whether this thing actually works. Free newsletter down below. Check that out for AI strategy and automations for normal people and modern businesses. Hope you have a great one. Thanks.